Right. Hello, 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 and welcome to another Wellness Lifestyle Conference interview. Today with, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing this correctly, Kinga Zielinski. I'm going to send out the request now for Kinga to join. Sorry, it's Kinga Zil. I'm going to probably mangle that. Kinga Szilagyi. Will ask her to help us. Kinga is the owner of a beautiful firm called Inner Luminescence, which uses a broad array of various techniques to basically help create, I suppose, lasting peace for her clients, which I think is something that we all really need in our lives right now. It then, of course, does extend to business as well. There's Kinga now. Kinga, you should have a notification on your screen saying saying that you've been asked to join. Otherwise, let me try and resend that. 2 seconds. Send request. If you can just tap the acceptance, then that should allow you to join. While we're waiting for that to come through, because I know Instagram does sometimes have quite a number of various little issues, as you all know from our previous lives too. There we
Are we,
go.
are we on? Okay, all right. Okay, okay.
Hello.
Hello, how are you? We managed.
We did indeed. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. And you?
Very good indeed. Thank you for asking. It's a wonderful day out here in Cape Town. A little bit cool, but we love it. How are things up in your neck of the woods? Are you in Johannesburg or?
I'm in Johannesburg, and we just had I think a dust storm. So no
Oh,
rain, but like a enormous like wind and dust
yeah.
and clouds. But it's fine. It's okay. It's nice weather.
Got,
It's not too hot.
oh,
Sorry, my dog
glad
is
to hear.
might gonna come into the picture, but she's a little bit
No problem at
needy.
all. We love pets. We love animals. We love creatures, all those creatures, big and small. So more than happy to have them with.
Perfect.
But Kinga, first of all, I'm dying to know, how do I pronounce your surname? Because I tried and I think I failed very miserably.
Okay, so Szilagyi. So I'm from Hungary, and we have 42 letters instead of the 26, what is in English. So
Ah, right. So that's
yeah,
what
so
makes
we
it.
add letters together, and that's gonna create a different sound. So S and Z together, it actually becomes a S. And if it would be a
I
Z and an
see.
S together, then it would be a Z. So, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. See, learn something new every day. So thank you for sharing that with us and for everybody listening. Really, really great. But okay, so as I was saying before, as you were joining, I was just giving people a little bit about background on you and the fact that you own this wonderful firm called Inner Luminescence, which I'm really excited to talk about in a little bit, and we'll get round to that. But it just seems so incredible. I looked through your website and looked at the various methodologies that you integrate, and it really sounds like you are able to bring together, I like to say, the best of all worlds and create a bespoke, really tailor-made solution for each client. So I'm very excited to talk about that in a little bit. But before we do, could you tell us a bit about you and what drove you to create this firm?
To create inner luminescence.
Mm,
What drove me? So I worked, and I still work with my husband in restaurant business. So I was since we moved here in 2000. So I've always been around people, a lot of people, obviously, like
mm,
clients coming and talking, and uh, ended up doing like on non-professional marriage counseling, life coaching, all of that with the
Right.
patrons of the restaurant and friends and everybody. And so I realized that my heart is in working with people and connecting and find that connection and find what they need and what can I help them with,
Mhm.
maybe. Or
Incredible. So you just literally were, I suppose, called by the fact that people around you just were obviously attracted to the fact that you could be of assistance.
yes, I like to believe that, like being 51, there is a lot of wisdom created by life, the experiences of life, which
Hmm.
helps. Obviously now I have a lot of learning behind me as well, but before it was more like life experience and common
Mm,
sense. And, like I could say that I obviously don't understand what you're going through, but I can empathize because I've been in this situation. And this is what I ended up with. So there is a choice. There's always a choice. I believe in choice, that we can make a choice. So
yes,
yes, and every choice carries a weight with it or a challenge. So when you know and you thought about it and you've seen why you're choosing this or that decision, that can make your life, it makes you responsible, you're responsible for your decision, and then, yeah, it's easier to work with the challenges when you know why you're doing them.
absolutely. And I find it so interesting that, as you're saying, initially you didn't have any formal training, but because of your life experience, you were able to really assist people because, and this is something that holds true across the board, everybody I interview says the same thing, universal truth is universal truth.
Mm.
So whether you get there because you read it in a book or whether you got there because you had life experience and you understand how actions and consequences work, the result is the same and you're able to really share that with your clients. And I think that is just so beautiful and incredible.
Thank you.
Now, coming
Yes.
into an Illuminati itself, I am very interested in a couple of things that I read on your website because obviously I know life and business coaching, but one of the things that I've only heard about once before, and I'll be honest, the person who told me about it, they started talking, but we were busy talking about other things. We never really got into it. Tell me about family and systemic constellations. How does
Okay.
that?
Okay. So uh, um, it's a little bit can be confusing, the name, the family. That's why it's moving now away and it's more called systemic, because it's actually about that universal truth. It works with that truth in our life. So and it looks at us as a system, and the surrounding, like our family and everything, like a system. So we're part of the system. Like, obviously you heard about being one, and when you were born into a family, you become part of that system. And that system, every system looks for balance and
Mm,
optimal performance. So when it's looking for balance, or when we born into it, we might gonna try, or more than probably we're gonna try to balance it. And this is more of a like habits, or how we were brought up, what the family believes in. Also, we subconsciously know what happened before us, and we try to help. So if we, let's say, consider that there was somebody with a very, very difficult fate in our family, often want to step in and try to carry that burden according to kind of what we understand they went through. So let's say if you, I don't know, just an example suddenly came into my mind. Let's say the North American native Indians were moved from their territory, and a similar thing happened here in South Africa. That is going to stay in the family system.
Right.
As a belief system. Now there is a choice. You can look at the ancestors and yourself as a victim or as a survivor. And this is what we work with, moving towards, let's say, one example, towards seeing a survivor, a strong person, a support, instead of seeing a victim. And so that's why it works with the big truths, and it's different themes, like mother, father, very important, honoring the gift of life. It's a very interesting method because I cannot tell you when we start a session where we're gonna go. It's like literally, you just know that something is holding you back. And let's say you would be swimming in the ocean, and suddenly after like you swam and the shore is not coming closer, you realize that actually you're swimming in a big circle, so you haven't realized that you're swimming around, but you're actually not really moving anywhere. And that's when you realize that you have something tied to your ankle, and that's why you can't move further and get to the shore you actually wanted to get. So you see the goal, you're doing all the steps, but you're not getting there. So what we do, we actually go down kind of and check what is at the end of that rope which ties you down. And I'm, as a facilitator, I go down with you there. So you're not going on your own. Yeah. I'm bringing the oxygen tanks and everything, and we go down and we check, and then we cut that whatever is tying you down. So you together, or actually, from there is your free way to reach the shore where you wanted to go. So this is what we do. That's why I can say before we start the session that it can come from here, wherever, it can come this blockage, let's say, in your life, why you're not moving forward, or why a certain pattern keeps on happening again and again and again. But it often tricks me as well, and then only in life we see what happens, what is there. So it's not a channeling, we're not bringing in family members, like as family members. All of our family is in us. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, it does make sense. But then my question would be, can it be quite traumatic for the client to go through that?
So be very careful not to re-traumatize, obviously. So clients, so there is always, it's very, very important to create support. So we start always from a very safe place where we can always go back. Mm-hmm. We only go as far as that day we can go. So, and there is always, everybody has somebody in their life they can rely on, who is a support. Even if it's your higher self.
Yes.
Okay, even if you can't find nobody in the family or whatever, even then there has to be somebody or something which can support you. So we always work with that support. And obviously, like as I said, the facilitator, me, I'm always there.
going in with the person to help them move through. And
Yes, yes. So the
that's
feeling we work with the body sensations a lot. What you're feeling,
right.
you know. So let's say if it happens in person, then if somebody says I can't breathe, then we kind of ask you to move where you can breathe. So you're not going to be left in a situation where, oh, suddenly I feel like I can't breathe. So obviously that pressure move you out of the pressure. So very, very careful with the work not to re-traumatize.
That is incredible, because I know so many of, well, not just my clients, I suppose most people's clients have these, not just necessarily traumatic events, but sometimes just these blocks that they don't know where it's come from.
Yes.
And like you say, it's this weight that's dragging them down, that's keeping them from being able to make actual progress. So to be able to, in a very non-threatening way, start to clear that, like you said, it means that they're now able to really see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. And I work especially a lot with inner child work. So that would be, you know, your trauma in this lifetime and in childhood. So I have extra support from that side that I know very quite well. I'm not a psychologist, but I know quite well the childhood trauma, how to work with it, and how to support, how to teach a person to support yourself, whatever
Right.
happens. Yes.
So yes, for people who are catching this replay or who are on the live now, just so that you're aware, the systemic constellations that Kinga works with is just one of the very many things that you do work with. I see on your website you use numerology, you use art therapy, you use normal, I suppose, normal life coaching skills as well. You really do bring a host of tools to the table to help the client to advance. So that was why I was so interested in the systemic constellations and how that works, because I was very keen to hear how that then interrelates with all the other things that you're able to assist the client with.
So in family constellation, systemic constellation, we often work with so-called healing or corrective sentences. And to find the right sentence, there are some of the sentences which been used for like 30 years, 40 years. So that, you know, it's in the system again. It's in the system. The system is used to it now, but it's also sometimes, you know, like I use my other work to know where we have to head to so that relief can happen. So I believe they all integrate into one package.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then I see here something very interesting, which I think is something that's missing in so many coaches' arsenal, because you definitely deal with the life side of things, the emotional side of things, but
Yes.
then you also have a business background. I noticed that you studied at the university in one of my favorite European cities, Budapest. I could roam around that city for days. It's so beautiful. But anywho, besides the point. I bring that up because, as I say, it's something that I think is maybe lacking in so many of the business coaches out there, is they approach it as sort of a very, very much a paint by numbers a kind of approach, you know, cookie cutter. Whereas more often than not, there is a huge emotional component to why someone is not making progress in their business. Do you find in your working with your clients that more often than not, you're actually having to bring in that emotional side of things to help them get their breakthroughs?
Yes, and interestingly, like even with that, with the systemic constellations or systemic work can help with businesses as well. Because the business is also a system, and there are certain orders and rules which has to be followed for the system to flow perfectly. So even in your business, you kind of have to put them into, which some of them are common sense, but there is like added things which you have to follow to in the business to for it to flow well. So yes, I think yeah, business coaching is like different. You know, like a business coaching is a little bit when you go, people want to have like a formula, and then you say, okay, do this urgent, important, urgent, not important, you know, the four squares. But I've been blessed enough that I worked with emotional intelligence in a workplace where kind of obviously like communication, especially I worked with receptionists. So you have to be able to move beyond to take it personally when a client comes and they lose their patience. And it's actually really not about you. Even though it feels like in that moment, but it's not about you. And to be able to step back. So one of the main thing, if I can, to anybody about emotional intelligence, if one advice is instead of saying that, you know, I'm angry, just say I feel angry. So
don't identify as the emotion.
So just put in a little bit of distance, and from that straight away there is a little bit of, oh, okay, hold on. This is not all of me. This is a part of me. This is what I'm feeling in the moment. I'm reacting on something.
For sure. No, brilliant. But okay, so Kinga, you obviously are also a speaker on the Wellness Lifestyle Conference, which we're very grateful for. So for all our listeners and those catching the replay, as usual, the link for the Wellness Lifestyle Conference is in my bio. You can click through and get access to Kinga's, what's the word I'm looking for, elite content that she has done specifically for us. And again, we are hugely thankful for that. But Kinga, for the people listening, hopefully corporates out there as well who would be interested in helping train their staff up to a point where they are more productive because they are more emotionally aware, how should they get in touch with you?
They can find me on my, so inner luminescence means inner light or shine, so that shines through your inner properties. So they can obviously contact me through inner luminescence. They can make a contact with Tracy from the conference. She has my details. Bianca from Fixit Health Hub. The conference is going to be held in January. And I have a Facebook page for Inner Luminescence, or from Facebook page, website. Yes.
Fantastic. So what I will be doing is as soon as I post this video, I will, of course, as usual, tag you in it.
Thank you.
And I will also leave a link for your website in the comments as well as your link to your Facebook page too, so that people can get in touch there.
Thank
you. Kinga, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. Thank you so much for explaining today what system constellations are, because it has been something that's been on my mind. So very grateful for the information and looking forward to the future.
Thank you. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Thank you, Steph. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Bye.